Ever wanted to play the G blues scale on guitar? Well, this scale is great to know for beginner and advanced players. In this video, I want to share with you 2 ways to play the G blues scale, the theory behind it, how to practice it, and even some songs that use the G blues scale. So no long blathering build-up here. Let's get straight into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is, what is the blues scale? Well, the blues scale is a series of 6 notes. And then there's your root again. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1. Now it's important to know that 9 times out of 10, when a guitar player says the G blues scale, they actually mean the G minor blues scale, which is what I played there. It uses the notes G, B flat, C, D flat, D, F, and G. And it gets that classic blues sound, right? And it's important to realize that this is a Western interpretation of the blues, right? Like, when you play blues vocabulary and blues licks, there's a lot of notes like that can't really fit into the typical Western style. So that's just something to consider, but with guitar, it's great because you can bend those strings and kind of get those out of tune notes. Now the scale is basically, first way I want to show you how to play is just the open 3rd string, then the 3rd fret, then the 1st fret on the 2nd string, then walk up 2nd fret, 3rd fret, then go to the 1st string and play 1, 3. So it's open, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3. Now, what fingers should you use to play the G blues scale? Well, in this position, you would start with open, which is no finger, and then 3rd fret would be the 3rd finger, 1st fret, 1st finger, 2nd fret, 2nd finger, 3rd fret, 3rd finger. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm matching the fret to the finger. So 1st fret is 1st finger, 3rd fret is 3rd finger, open is nothing. So when you set yourself up that way, you play from a position, which means you can make the notes easier to access across the fretboard. It would be harder if I did a bad fingering. I mean, it's not necessarily bad, it's just more work, and it depends on what you're playing. But check this out. If I played with all 1 finger, that's like my hand has to work way harder versus just setting up in position and then getting all the notes nice and easy like that. So this technique can help you navigate the fretboard fluently and with more command. Now, if you want to learn to play this scale anywhere on the fretboard, which I don't show in this video, I can't put it all in one YouTube lesson, then go to johnmcclennan.com/blues-scales and get your hands on my free blues scale PDF guide. This is going to show you patterns used by all the great blues masters, from B.B. King to Albert King, Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix. They all knew this stuff inside and out. And you can learn it completely for free. Just go to johnmcclennan.com/blues-scales and grab my free blues scale PDF guide. So from there, you want to look at what's called the formula of the scale. And this is like a little bit of the theory behind it. So if we start on the note G, we've got a G up to a B flat there, which is, what I mean by formula is a series of whole steps and half steps. So the first move here is a step and a half from G. So that's, a step would be 2 frets and a half step would be 1 fret. So that's 3 frets, 0 to 3. Then you play a whole step, 2 frets, then half step, then step and a half, whole step. If you understand that formula, you can figure out a blues scale anywhere on the fretboard. So check this out. Let's say I started on this note, which is a different G, and I start out with a step and a half, which would be 3 frets, then a whole step, 2 frets, then a half step, 1 fret, half step, 1 fret, then step and a half, 3 frets, and whole step, 2 frets. So I've got 3, 2, 1, 1, 3, 2. That's the pattern there, and you'll hear that sound. That's the blues scale. Now, another great way to look at the blues scale is through intervals. Now, intervals are basically the raw building blocks of music. You can use them to build chords and scales and understand all kinds of things. So the way that would work is you start on the G, and when you go up to the 3rd fret, B flat, that's called a minor third. Okay, then G to C is a perfect 4th. Then you have a diminished 5th, which is G to D flat, sometimes called the flat 5. And then you have a perfect 5th, G to D. Then you have a minor 7th, G to F. And then you have an octave, a perfect octave, G to G. So that sequence of intervals is basically the formula for a G blues scale. Now, if you want to extend this to cover, say, a full position, then a great way to play this would be starting down here. Instead of this G, what if we started down the octave, which would be the 3rd fret of the low E string, and we're going to play G, B flat, C, D flat, D, F, G. Then we can continue the same notes up the octave, and now I've got 2 octaves for the scale. So how do you practice the G blues scale? Well, a great way to start would be with just a metronome, and there's a lot of free metronome apps. I've got one on my phone here, and you can get this click going, and you got this 1, 2, 3, and you play on every click. Right? And you practice that, and then you can play it at different tempos. You could try playing 8th notes, which would be doubling up. So you can go up, meaning ascending, and down, descending. Now, once you really master the blues scale, you'll start to hear it in a lot of songs. And so here's 3 songs you can listen for it in. And the first one is I Shot the Sheriff. Eric Clapton has a great version. It was originally written by Bob Marley, but the riff goes like this. And that's right there in the key of G. Now, it's not all pure, it doesn't hit every note of the blues scale, but you could see that the majority of those notes are all in the G blues scale. Another great example of this is I'll Play the Blues for You, as recorded by Albert King. Now, he didn't write it, it was actually written by Jerry Beach, but he does it in G minor and plays this groove. So right there, you can hear that bluesy sound, and you know, both of these are examples of, like, I'll Play the Blues for You is in G minor, I Shot the Sheriff is in G minor, so you can actually play the blues scale over minor and major chords, which is pretty awesome when you think about it. The last example I'll tell you about is Born Under a Bad Sign, but check out Cream's version. So the riff goes. Right, so hear it. So once you internalize the scale, as I said, you'll start to be able to pick it up and you'll hear it in your favorite songs. You'll understand it on the guitar, and it all clicks together. Now, if you want to play this anywhere on the fretboard and really just master the blues scale, then go to johnmclennan.com/bluescales and get your hands on my free blues scale PDF guide. Hope this video helped you out. If you liked it, you might like this one next.